Hello everybody, and welcome to another awesome game of StarCraft 2. This time we have LaLuSh spawning once again as the Blue Zerg. He is a Swedish player playing for Team Millennium, and his opponent is going to be, once again, SlayerSBoxeR spawning as the Red Terran. BoxeR, a South Korean pro player from the Brood War days, one of the most famous players in the world, particularly for playing Terran, and he has now made the migration over to StarCraft 2. And this is going to be the this is going to be the fourth game in a best-of-5 series for the GeForce Pro tournament, and the map is going to be Tal'Darim Altar LE. This map, a very macro-oriented type of map. It is an enormous map with a ton of expansions all over the map, a ton of very easy, one easy-to-take natural with a fairly easy-to-defend ramp for both players, and we're going to see what style of play both of these players decide to go for. BoxeR, in the past couple of games, has been very strongly favoring 2 racks and strange proxy rack positionings for his openings. But we'll see what he decides to do, considering the fact that he will not be able to reasonably scout out where his opponent is, and it looks like he's just going to set up a barracks in his base, not even bothering to wall off, not concerned at all in the least about the fact that a Zerg player could potentially run in and do some damage. He probably feels like he's got a lead on LaLuSh. He knows that he likes to go for a macro style play, and already he's setting up his fast expansion before his spawning pool. That's the most economic of builds for a Zerg player, and in particular on this map, it is worthwhile to go for a hatchery first unless you expect your opponent to give you some extremely early pressure. And LaLuSh is going to send out his drone in the right direction. He's going to spawn out. He's going to spot BoxeR right away, know where he is, what he's doing, and how he's doing it. BoxeR, for his part, is going to perhaps infer the positioning of his opponent by the timing of the scout. If you are aware of when your opponent's scout shows up, you can kind of have an idea as to where he is likely spawning. But it looks like BoxeR is instead going to scout in the wrong direction. Up in this direction, it's going to take him forever to find out where LaLuSh is, which means that he's not going to be able to apply a whole lot of early pressure by the time any Marines or SCVs get out to LaLuSh's expansion. BoxeR will have Zerglings and perhaps even a spine crawler down. And now we have a gas seal going down. This is a great play by LaLuSh. What it does is it really severely limits BoxeR's early game tech options. It means that LaLuSh does not have to prepare for early Banshees. He does not have to prepare for Blue Flame Hellion drops right off the bat. It gives him the ability to really take his time, set up his macro, and deal with anything, and limits BoxeR's options quite a bit. And now BoxeR, for his part, decided not to scout into the cross positions. He had a hunch that LaLuSh was in the close-by air position, probably because of the timing of the drone, and now he has done a full scout of LaLuSh's base. The gas is just starting, so he is probably not going to be expecting much aggression either, which will allow him to macro up. And LaLuSh canceling the extractor at the last minute. Great control by LaLuSh, forcing these Marines to start all over again. 2 Marines cannot keep up with the amount of hit points that an extractor being built is able to produce. And now we have a switch over for the reactor for the factory, so we're going to have 2 Hellions coming out, apply some pressure, and LaLuSh is aware of the timing of BoxeR's command center. BoxeR doesn't care. He's building it right at the mineral line, and we got these 2 Marines coming out, going to do some damage, and we'll see. It looks like LaLuSh was not able to spot that reactor on the factory. He's going to perhaps suspect a Hellion, but he might not be suspecting 2. But no, the drone stops building as those Marines are distracted. Going to spot the reactor on that factory, and great control by LaLuSh, getting all the information he needs, and he has 2 spine crawlers going down with his creep tumor, spreading out the creep, and I think that these Hellions are going to be doing absolutely nothing. Unless BoxeR is willing to take a ton of damage getting into the main base between the Queens and the spine crawlers, I think that these Hellions are just going to be completely deflected. It looks like BoxeR does not even want to mess with them. He peeked in, he saw what was going on, and he has fallen out. He has done a tech switch. He switched his factory with the tech lab, getting Blue Flame, so he's going to try to come back, reinforce with Hellions en masse, and do some more damage when he can. And now there's even a 3rd building going down, a Roach Warren, and this is positioning on this Roach Warren is intentional. It may not be the safest spot, but it is set up so that Hellions cannot run by. They are forced to funnel into this little choke point for these spine crawlers to do tons of damage. We have drones blocking, we have Queens blocking. LaLuSh does not want these Hellions loose in his base because he realizes that if they get in there, they are going to be able to do a ton of damage behind that mineral line, even sacrificing some of his economy, not getting the injection right on time. But now that these buildings have finished, I think that LaLuSh is going to be able to hold off any Hellion push very, very easily. BoxeR, for his part, has set up his second expansion. He's got his Marines going down. He has more Hellions out on the field, and these Hellions are just hanging out. If any Zerglings come out, try to do some damage, they are probably going to get roasted away. Blue Flame nearly finished. Speed almost finished. And Speedlings are an awesome counter to Hellions, but not so much of a good counter to Blue Flame Hellions, considering how much damage they do. Roaches counter all forms of Hellions, though, and these Hellions were forced to take one set of damage, and one goes down, and the Roaches are now going to force these Hellions back to BoxeR's base. BoxeR, for his part, going for that very effective 1-1-1 type of opening. It gives him tons of tech pass, and choosing to go for a medevac in this case. I expect to see a kind of late version of the Blue Flame Hellion drop, and if the Hellions are not spotted, then it is possible that there's going to be a ton of damage done to the drone line and the economy of LaLuSh, who is going into lair tech, but also setting up his overlords in a great position. The most direct path for the medevac would be right through here, but if he can spot them right away, that is going to allow him to react just in time. Roche is going out to deal with these Hellions, but here comes the dropship, and I was completely wrong. We have a dropship full of Marines. They are going to drop right up here in the corner of this base. Spine Crawlers forced to relocate. This one Spine Crawler going down to the base, get behind the mineral on. This other one rooting right in here, but now the Marines supported by the Hellions on the low ground, and these Roaches are coming in, but these Hellions are going to come into the medevac, and now we have Hellions attacking, Marines and Hellions attacking the Spine Crawler. Queen is completely out of position on the low ground. All the drones ran away, didn't take any hits from the Hellions, which is very lucky for them. But now we have Hellions and Marines behind the mineral lines, and it looks like this is going to be a problem for LaLuSh, unless he can get in here with his Roaches, with his Queen, and do enough damage, and it looks like he's going to. Queen almost going down, but these Roaches are in there doing a ton of damage to these Marines. Medevac has to pick these up right away, but no, the Hellions are running around doing almost no damage to the Roaches. Medevac picks up the Hellions and gets sniped down by the Queens. Almost all of those drones were saved. Only a few drones killed by BoxeR, and that was a great reaction by LaLuSh. A lesser Zerg player would have lost almost all of his drones in the line. And we are still fairly even on this match. BoxeR may have lost that battle, but he also killed almost all of LaLuSh's army. He's got a couple of Roaches left, a couple of Queens. This one is almost dead. And we have a couple of Roaches hanging out here as drop insurance, and there are more Hellions coming in. Going to hopefully... nope, not able to roast down these creep tumors. Maybe a scan's going to go down for BoxeR, but no. Creep tumors are going to be allowed to heal back up, get that creep going. But BoxeR is really rocking his economy. Great saturation with the mules, with the SCVs at his base. And LaLuSh, for his part, is moving into Baneling Speed and Spire Tech. Let's see if we can spot that Spire. Where is it hanging out? Oh my god. There it is, hanging out next to the Baneling Nest. And we have more Hellions coming out for BoxeR. He wants to really crush his Zerg opponent's drones with that Blue Flame. He's probably going to try to take advantage of this low ground by putting Marines up on the high ground and use Hellions to roast away any Zerglings that respawn. But LaLuSh is smartly not going for too many Zerglings. He has a bunch of Roaches. He has a decent squad of Roaches to take care of any Hellions, and his Zerglings are just a modest amount considering the time of the game. He's using them mostly for Banelings, and I expect he's going to use them to reinforce his Mutalisks when they finally pop out. The Spire is nearly finished. It's going to be going down very soon. LaLuSh has saved up enough gas for 7 Mutalisks at once. He's going to use those Mutalisks to try to do damage to BoxeR's economy, to his production structures. Mutalisks were pretty much the game winners in Game 3, able to get behind BoxeR's base, able to destroy almost every one of his production structures. Tons of SCVs, tons of supply depots, supply locking BoxeR at that time. We have a single missile turret here. We have, looks like no missile turrets, one missile turret covering these barracks in the base, and that is it. BoxeR taking his third base, already cleared out these rocks. But we have LaLuSh with his creep spread moving across the map. He's got his Roaches, he's got his Zerglings, and he's going for that cautious macro style that he has been employing for all of these games. He's waiting for his creep to spread out, and every time his creep spreads, he moves up a little bit with his Zerg units. He's setting up a hatchery over here, but there's a drop coming down, getting destroyed by these Mutalisks. I'm sorry, it may not have been a drop. I think it was just Hellions getting destroyed by those mutas. So the Hellions now are aware of the fact that there are tons of mutas on the field. +1 upgrades coming down for the Zerg melee attack. So it is +2. So it's definitely going to be Zergling Baneling Mutalisk for LaLuSh. He's getting all those upgrades, and we'll see if he transfers into the Hive Tech, into Broodlords, the type of units that won him the game in Game 3. And now we have BoxeR moving out. He has some Marauders for the Roaches. He has a couple of Blue Flame Hellions for the Zerglings and a lot of Marines for the Mutalisks. We'll see if this is possible for him to take over, but no. Falling back, not at all confident about his ability to take out this army. And these Mutalisks offering a huge amount of map support. Every single Xel'Naga watchtower taken by LaLuSh. And I cannot stress the importance of holding these towers. That gives him vision and therefore control of almost the entire center portion of the map, the most common paths of moving around. He's going to be able to spot a drop unless it goes all the way around. He's going to be able to spot troop movements everywhere, and he is spreading his creep like a champ. He is almost at BoxeR's front door. BoxeR's going to have to throw down some scans to take care of these creep tumors, and it looks like LaLuSh is moving into the hive tech. He's going to go for the ultimate Zerg units, get the highest level of tech he can. Pathogen glands coming down, 4 infestors, more roaches coming down, tons of drones coming in. He is setting up his 4th base. He is scouted around. He's got these mules kind of hanging out. I don't know why, but there are Marines and Marauders and Medevacs hanging out in the center here. He is BoxeR's decided not to go with the siege tanks, which have been doing so well, but failed him in the last game. He is just now getting his siege tech and his +1 Terran infantry or Terran mech attack upgrades, and now we have creep tumors spreading up in, and BoxeR has got to be uncomfortable. This leaving creep wave is just advancing towards him, getting creepy, getting gooky, and his Zerg opponent is going to be able to see everything under the creep, and he's going to be able to have a 30% bonus to his movement speed for all of his Zerg ground units when on that creep. I'm actually surprised that BoxeR is not throwing down a scan. Oh, I see why. He has a planetary fortress here. He's using all of his mules to mine up minerals, and he is probably saving those scans for when he really needs them. He is just now getting enough energy on those orbital commands, and we have a bit of a stalemate here. BoxeR is not comfortable moving out, but LaLuSh is also happy to macro up. About the same amount of supply right now, but LaLuSh has a couple more drones, giving him a bit less on the army tab. But now here goes the creep tumors. Those active creep tumors get down. These passive ones get destroyed, and a huge fungal growth going down on Hellions and Marines alike. And here goes another big fungal growth. Banelings rushing into those Hellions and Marines. And that attack was definitely crushed down by LaLuSh, half of it anyway. And the infestors are out of energy, but the siege tank is just slightly out of range. Roaches and Banelings destroying those Marauders. And we got a couple medevacs in the air healing these Marines, but the creep is going to be reseeded. And I think that all told, it was about an even fight on there, but LaLuSh is getting his Corruptors. He's got his Greater Spire almost done. He's going to be able to have Broodlords very soon. In fact, he has been sacrificing having a very, very strong conventional army in favor of teching into those Broodlords as quickly as possible. But BoxeR's moving out. He might not give him enough time, because after the Corruptors finish, he's still going to have to morph them in. Spine Crawlers forced to move back. Siege tanks sieged up on this high ground, on this bit of a hill here. All these Spine Crawlers falling back just a little bit. Mutalisks waiting at the north, waiting to do some damage to the siege tank. And BoxeR has spotted this Greater Spire. He's going to go to town. He's going to kill this Greater Spire. Oh no, that is a huge blow. Only 3 Broodlords are morphing in, and that Greater Spire has been destroyed. That might be a game changer right there. That is an enormous loss for LaLuSh. He's going to have to rebuild the Spire and then remorph it into a Greater Spire. He has these Corruptors here, and sure, they can kill medevacs, but they are ultimately not going to be adding a whole lot to LaLuSh's army. Now he has to fall back onto Zerglings and Banelings. He's got a couple of Broodlords already morphed, a bunch of Banelings coming down, adrenal glands for the Zerglings to give them that +20 attack speed, but there's a couple Vikings in the air, and I don't know, I think that sniping that Greater Spire may have been a game changer for this. Everything is riding on a razor's edge. BoxeR is moving up this siege tank a little too close, getting poked by that Spine Crawler, doing a lot of damage to that siege tank. Not what BoxeR needs right now, and that siege tank is not going to go down, but it is very, very low on hit point. Tons of creep tumors getting destroyed, and BoxeR is starting that slow Terran push, using his siege tanks to leapfrog in, and there are tons of Marines and a couple of Vikings. We'll see how well these Broodlords are used. Broodlords are being supported sort of by the Corruptors and the Infestors and the Zerglings. This is the way to use your Broodlords. Here comes the squad of Marines to snipe them down, but a big fungal growth goes down. 1 Broodlord gets destroyed. Every Broodlord is going to be critical here, and this medevac is getting sniped down by Corruptors, but the Zerglings and Roaches are not able to get very close to this siege line. Marines are walking in, just taunting these Zerg units, telling them, hey, come on closer, I will let you live. But no, siege tanks raining down. Big fungal growth on the Marines and the siege tank. Overlord's running and trying to take some damage, but there are so many Corruptors, so many useless Corruptors. All the Roaches, all the Zerglings get destroyed, and now the Corruptors are just destroyed as well. That was a huge loss for LaLuSh. He's producing a ton of Banelings, a ton of Zerglings, more Infestors, but he is running out of money soon. He's probably running out of Larva, and BoxeR